Kids on the floor, pause at the door, spills in the hall. You've seen it all. Welcome to Clean Living with Sam. I am carpet cleaning. We're the team that you need and breathe and feel that sparkle again. Welcome to Clean Living with Sam. I am. Oh.
Welcome to the Clean Living with Sam I Am Carpet Cleaning Podcast. Today's guest is Ed Selvidge with the Sowing Love Ministries. You're a pastor.
Okay, yeah. I was ordained in 1981, and so I've been ordained quite a while.
Yeah.
I attended Nazarene College and Nazarene Seminary and have served in the Church of Nazarene. And then when I moved here, there wasn't a Nazarene church in Camden or in Carroll County. So I was asked to pastor a church at Radnor, which is halfway between Delphi and Rossville. And so they asked me to go there and fill in until they could find somebody from the United Methodist Church that was ordained and could lead the two congregations. I had Piermont and Radnor. And so 20 years later, I retired.
And actually, that's where I first met you, is at Radnor when Sam used to come clean carpets. I'd been out there with him a couple times and clean carpets. But yeah, that's kind of a crazy story. Okay. Ordained as a Nazarene, ended up preaching at the Methodist for 20 years.
Yeah. But then, so when we retired, we looked for a church home, and I retired on, December 31st, end of the year. And the first Sunday of the next year, we started attending the Nazarene Church in Frankfort. And so, I had to go back to the mothership and sign in.
Yeah.
So we've been there, and our pastor, Gordon, came a month before I did. So we're both kind of same time period there.
Right.
And so I don't know if you want to know more about the Sowing Love right now, or
either way. I mean, we can. How did that? I guess that does bring a question to my mind. How did that come about?
Well, of course, first of all, we started attending church, and before that, we were looking toward retirement. My wife and I both were looking toward retirement, and we have a quilting company, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so.
That's a good name.
We get a lot of our fabric right here in Rossville.
Okay.
It's a great place to get fabric, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah,
all right.
And a real good place. Love these people here. So she would quilt, and then we would have to send the quilt top out. She would piece it, and she'd have to send it out to be quilted. And so we started talking about that. We decided we needed to buy a long arm quilting machine so that we could quilt our own quilts and not only save that money, but we could get them done faster and less hassle.
Right.
So we did that. And we were in Kansas City. This has been probably 9 years ago. We were in Kansas City visiting a friend of mine, a friend of my brother's and a friend of mine, and found out that he had a long arm quilting machine. So we went to his place and checked it out, all that. And then a couple of years later, he gave me a call. He was driving through town, Camden.
That's odd.
Of all places.
Yeah.
So my first question was, hey, what in the world are you doing driving through Indiana all the way from Kansas City? What?
Right.
Camden's not on the way. He said, well, we were in Cleveland, Ohio, for a conference, and we decided to stop here. I said, what'd you go there for? And he said, I went there to learn how to repair sewing machines. I said, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
Right.
He said, well, because he said, I've discovered that I can rejuvenate or repair, uh, clean up and fix sewing machines and then give them to people that are in need,
Mm.
like homeless people or places where, like women's shelters, places
Right.
like that. He said, you want to learn? And I said, yeah. So this has been been probably 7 years ago. So he taught me what he knew, and wasn't a whole lot, but
Right.
it got me started. So I started doing that, and I realized I really didn't know what I was doing. And so I found a guy in North Carolina that really knew what he was doing. I call him my coach.
Okay.
He became my coach, and I went out there for a couple of times for classes. Just like this guy went to Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
I went to North Carolina, and he's become my really best friend. His name's Norm. He's just a great guy, and we've grown closer together, and we've grown closer to the Lord together.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, it's been a great win-win-win-win for
Right.
everybody. So started doing that, and then the church embraced that ministry and started helping us by supplying a place where we could store sewing machines. It gave us support in maybe shipping and things like that,
Right.
and carrying the sewing machines up and down the stairs and all that sort of thing. So it's just really developed into a great ministry. And at one point, we decided we need to have a name for this. Pastor and I came up with Sewing Love Ministries.
That's great.
That's kind of how it started. Right now, last year we shipped out about 125 sewing machines, 25 to Papua New Guinea, and then the rest to Tanzania and Malawi and Uganda. That's kind of what we're doing right now. Uh, so far, we've shipped out probably about 450 machines to different people. So, and right now we have about 125 ready to be shipped out as soon as we find somebody that's going to do, you know.
So do they? So when you ship them out, is there? I think as Bonnie and Kester, they've gone down and kind of. Well, and you guys have also, haven't you? You've made trips.
We've sent quite a few to Honduras and Guatemala. We've sent them to Mongolia.
Wow.
Which was a miracle. I mean, it's a long story, but it's a miracle. How God supplies, not only helps us find it, but He supplies the means of getting it there.
Right.
Getting a sewing machine is not a problem at all. People are willing to give us their old sewing machines very, very nicely.
Yeah.
And we've had so many nice people just give us sewing machines. And repairing the sewing machine, my partner in crime is Kester McKinney, and he really does most of the work now. When I first started, I did quite a bit of work, but Kester got trained as well, and he's far surpassed me as ability to.
He's got the mechanical aptitude. It's just natural.
He is fabulous. He just does a fantastic job.
That's great.
And he has a great love for it, and a great talent, a great love.
Right.
Which is a great combination.
Yeah.
And so repairing or refurbishing the sewing machines is really not a big deal. I mean, once you learn how to do it,
right.
it becomes, and he's very good at it. I'm good at it too, but he's better.
Right. Right.
And when I was trained by a guy who said, if you're going to do it, don't do it halfway. Right. He said, do it better than anybody else. And so I've been very well trained.
That's good.
Yeah. But the problem is, number one, finding a place, and number two, getting it there.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it costs quite a bit. It costs us about $1,800 to ship 25 sewing machines to Papua New Guinea, which was a big deal.
Right.
It took a lot of people and a lot of moving parts to get them down there.
Yeah, there's a lot of, just you got the preparation, then you got the transportation. And while you're just taking care of this side, you also have to be planning for who's going to handle it once
Exactly.
just so many hands in getting this done. And then once they get there, you got to, yeah. So I guess that brings me to the question. So once they've received the machines, they're learning how to sew and using the machines. And
as a general rule, the sewing machines we send are sent to people that already have a micro business going. In most of these countries, in third world countries, and especially Africa and South America, well, every place but the United States, basically, really use sewing machines as a business.
Right.
And so the purpose of sewing machines is not to supply someone with a sewing machine.
Okay.
Although that's what we're doing. It's the purpose is to get a person's foot in the door, to get in front of someone with the gospel message.
Right.
And so by creating these micro businesses, these small 1, 2, 3, 5 people businesses that a church would own the sewing machine, and then a person could come in and use the sewing machine and then make clothes and bags and all kinds of things.
Right.
Then they sell those and make a living.
Nice.
And so it's not like they can just go to Amazon and pick up something.
Right.
These people make it and they sell it.
Well, and they don't.
Living.
They probably don't have thrift stores on every corner, and their thrift is they're using it until they can't anymore.
And they remake clothes. Some of the people we've set up as a business have been very, very successful and made beautiful clothes for like gowns for banquets and stuff. I know some of the South American or Central American countries use fancy clothes for their
quinceañeras.
Quinceañeras and all that sort of thing. And these people have been able to make money and sell clothes to people for that. So it's been a great thing. But the real purpose is to get someone with the gospel message that Jesus loves you.
Right.
And I'm showing that love to you in this way. And people say, oh, you do love me.
We're giving them a mini gift.
We're giving them a hand up instead of a hand out. And
right.
In that hand up, we're actually giving them the hand of Jesus.
Right.
Helping raise them up.
Let him take them the rest of the way. But that you got to get your foot in the door, and the sewing machines are your way. There's missions out there that use all kinds of things. You got the shoebox ministry. You've got, water. I've heard.
Water's huge.
And that's just stuff we take for granted here in America. I had talked to Zach, who went down to Ecuador. Just the water. We can go buy a case of water, and it's no big deal. But when buying water is a big part of your budget for the month, or for the week or whatever it is, that could be a challenge for people, and even the clothing. I think of how much money we waste here in America on clothes, and then we have an abundance, and then when we're done with it, we throw it away, or if we're lucky, people will donate it to a thrift store. Or we have the emergency needs there at the church for people, where people will donate clothes. But Americans just don't think much about stuff like that.
Well, another aspect of our sewing ministry is fabric. People donate fabric to us, and we wrap the sewing machine in the fabric when we ship them to places, and then the people that receive this machine also receive some fabric that they can use for sewing, which is neat. But you're absolutely right. We are a throwaway society. Even our cars are throwaway.
Yeah, yeah. You if you're lucky enough to get 7 or 8 years out of it, it's worthless now.
Then the next phase of our ministry is teaching others how to repair sewing machines,
right?
So that they can teach others. 2 Timothy 2:2 talks about pass on to reliable people what you've seen and heard in my presence. And I know that means the gospel message. I know that means the heart of Jesus. But I take that also to mean the things that we've learned that are practical for ministry, we need to pass on to people. Um, the people that are coming behind us, uh, we've gone before. I know I'm getting older, and I think about this a lot. I've gone before. I've done a lot in ministry, and so I need to pass on that knowledge to others.
Right.
And so my goal, my idea is to pass that sewing machine ministry to others, and I want to get that out not just to other countries, but in this country, I want to get that out to other churches so that they too can form a sewing machine ministry,
right,
and help people. And so, in a couple of weeks, we have some people coming to learn how to repair sewing machines, like I did the first time. So,
how did that come about? Where you got a couple people interested in coming to learn?
It's an absolutely crazy long story, but and only God could do this. I have a nephew that went on a trip to. He and his wife went on a cruise,
mm-hmm.
And so they flew down to Florida. And on their way to Florida, they met some people on an airplane that were going on a mission trip to the Dominican Republic.
Wow!
And so he got acquainted, and he's a jabberbox, and he talked to them and found out what they were doing. He said, "Hey, I've got a uncle that does sewing machine. Would you be interested?" Yeah. So they called me when they got home from their mission trip and said, "What are you doing?" And I told them. They said, "Well, would you be interested in going to the Dominican Republic to teach some young boys how to repair sewing machines?" I said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." I said, "But what really makes more sense is since you live in the United States and I live in the United States and we don't live that far apart, that you just come to my place and I teach you, and when you go, you teach them."
Right.
And he said, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes more sense than paying you to go down there and stay down there."
Right.
And besides that, I'm getting old, and so it would be much better for these younger people to do
right.
that. And I'm passing on the knowledge to someone else rather than just hoarding it for myself.
Right.
I have no purpose in that. And so they said, "Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So we're going to do that soon."
That's great.
Yeah, and the neat thing about it is that it's transferable. It's not like it's difficult. It's just you need to know a few things, and those things you know, and then you can do what we do. So,
right. Well, and I was thinking when you were talking about teaching younger people in other countries how to repair these, it gives them a skill. It gives them a path that they could choose to take, maybe change the trajectory of their life by giving them an opportunity they didn't have.
well, actually, that is right on point, because my goal is to teach people how to do this so they can go and teach young people how to repair sewing machines so they can make a living, not from sewing, but from sewing machine repair.
Right. Yeah,
So,
because
that's exactly.
the machines down there will eventually wear out and have things go wrong.
In the conversation with these people, they said that down there in Dominican Republic, the Dominican Republic, that they have a ton of sewing machines that are no longer they're able to use. Those are in disrepair. So going down there, they're not only going to be able to stop the flow of having to send more sewing machines,
right?
But they'll be able to revive and refurbish and maybe start selling machines to other people in the public.
Right.
Hey, I need a sewing machine. Yeah, I can sell you one for $50.
Right.
And make money.
Yeah, that's great. So
go ahead.
You get most of the sewing machines through donations that you guys ship out. Okay.
When I first started, I would go to yard sales and buy them.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out really soon that people are willing to give grandma's sewing machine. We don't use it anymore.
Right.
My sewing machine, I don't know. I bought it and I don't use it anymore.
Yeah.
I've gotten some just unbelievable, beautiful sewing machines that people have given me just because nobody uses them anymore. Some people don't use them anymore.
Right. Most people. But
we go to Amazon and buy it.
Right.
We go to Walmart and buy it.
Right. Everybody's too busy for things like that. There is
except for quilters.
Yeah, I mean, you got a store right next door to us.
It's a big industry.
That's their business. Yeah. I mean, it's great. I think that you were saying that people are willing to give things, especially if they don't need it. But it is good to see the generosity of others doing this business. I'm sure, and then people volunteering their time to go do this, whether it's crating them up and getting them to where they need to go. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think. Did you have something happen on that last shipment where somebody was able to take it? Another act of God.
You did remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, that is the most miraculous thing. Well, everything's miraculous when God's in it.
Right.
Even the littlest thing. But here, every 4 years, the Church of Nazarene has a general convention, and it's a worldwide convention where representatives come from all over the world. Literally all over the world, Africa, Papua New Guinea, everywhere. Mongolia. That's where I met the man from Mongolia. They gather together and have a week-long international convention, and they talk about policy and they inspire one another a lot. We set up a booth at this convention in Indianapolis, and it was just simply to get the word out that we have this sewing love ministry. And people in the United States say, "Oh, that's neat." Yeah, that's neat. But when people from other countries who are involved in this sewing ministry saw what we were doing, they just went ballistic. They just went gaga. And there were 3 delegates at this convention from Papua New Guinea. And all 3 of them said, "Oh, we need these sewing machines." And they asked for 55 sewing machines. They said, "We need them in 3 different parts of New Guinea."
Wow.
And I said, "Man, we have them. We're willing to send them, but I don't know how to get them there." And for 3 years, I prayed about it and asked people and sought. I mean, it was just my constant prayer. Lord, help us to find a way to get this. For 3 years, and these people would call me on WhatsApp app, WhatsApp. They would call me and say, "Pastor, we really need those sewing machines. Can you get a sewing machine?" I said, "I would love to.
Right.
Help me pray." Finally, we had a missionary come from Papua New Guinea, and I talked to him about it. And he said, "Yeah, we would be willing." He said, "Talk to the people in Oregon that supply us with mission supplies every 4 months. They send us a shipment of mission supplies, medical supplies. They have a medical hospital there, and see if we can just put them on that ship. Now it'll cost you, but you can put them on that ship and send them to us like container." So got a hold of them, yes, but you have to get them from Indiana to Oregon. And I was
Mm.
like, oh, how are we going to do this? So we started
Right.
praying about it. Well, I had a heart attack and a triple bypass surgery. And I came home on a Monday. And on Tuesday, Pastor came and visited with us. And while I was sitting there, a gentleman from Shipshawana, from Middlebury actually, who has a shipping company, said, I heard that you were trying to get some sewing machines uh, to Oregon. I said, yeah. And he said, well, I have a transport company, and we'll take them out for you and won't even charge you for it.
Wow.
And I said, that is a miracle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they took them out there got them on the ship, and they got sent to Papua New Guinea.
That's awesome.
Only God can do that.
Yeah. It makes me think that, I mean, just the stories of all the times where you've seen God move it reminds me of, I grew up in church. You knew my pastor down there in Logansport or up there, but I never really took it serious. I didn't understand it. I was young. I went from little all the way up until I graduated. And for me, it was something I resisted. I had moments where, I felt convicted and things like that. But later on, I struggled with drinking. And, I mean, I just had experiences that only God could have saved me in those moments. But it wasn't until I finally hit rock bottom and I decided I was going to quit. My mother-in-law at the time, she had been in AA. I went to AA, and they're talking about a higher power, which most people believe is God, and that's the only thing I could think of is God and Jesus. But when I stopped and I looked back on my life, and I seen all those times that God had saved me from myself, it was much easier to believe. And then, I did that for about 5 years and ended up falling away from that, thinking I had a handle on my drinking, and which wasn't accurate. But I think back in my life of the times, if I pay attention, I can see God moving all over. But when I'm too busy and not focused on God, you don't see it. You miss it every time that he's doing something. It may be down the road you think, oh man, that could have only been God. But if we're keeping God top of mind, we'll see it so much more of where he's moving and how he's moving everything into place. And that just makes me think of that, when we're talking about all the times he's come through just for the Sowing Love Ministries. He's made things possible that you didn't see.
Because on the other end of that Sowing Love ministry is someone who he's reaching out to.
Right.
And here is, I don't know all of your story, but I know some of your story. And I know there was a time in your life where you really hotly pursued your wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you did all kinds of manipulation to try to get her attention and get in front of her and convince her that you were the right guy for the marriage. The whole idea about growing up and all, because I grew up in the Church of Nazarene and I rejected and I ran away from, but all the time, and I learned this later, God is always pursuing me, like you were pursuing your wife, like I was pursuing my wife, finding ways to, get her attention and help her understand that you really did love her.
Right.
And that's all God is doing. There's a theological term called prevenient grace,
right.
But God's grace goes before us all the time, not just once in a while or just for the relationship. And it's not just, as I grew up, I always had this fear of dying and going to hell. And so I always had a fear of going to hell.
Right.
And that was not God's intention at all.
Right.
I mean, God's intention is that I not go to hell. But
Right.
his real intention was to be in this covenant relationship with me.
Right.
And so he goes before us, not only in that sowing love stuff and watching over us and care for us, but he really romances us to be in love with him
Right.
and stay in love with him and grow closer and closer. Like your marriage, I see you and your marriage just gets better and better all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we just celebrated 16 years.
Whoa, man.
My older 3 kids probably all lost a bet on that one. Dad's not going to make it, But, and a big part of that is God. I mean, it's the whole part of it, really. I mean, because I tend to screw things up. But, had we not, we struggled, getting a relationship with God. But he was, once you know about him and you know of what he's done for you, it's harder to ignore him. It's like in the back of your mind all the time. And so, now that we've got on the same page, we're both desiring to grow in our relationship with Jesus. And now, we're getting somewhere. Now, as Phil Robertson would say, we're cooking with oil. Um,
Well, it's because you both said yes.
yeah,
God, Jesus Christ, says yes from the beginning. When
right.
he said yes to his Lord and Savior, his Father, when he said yes, I'll go to the cross.
Yeah.
And he did. And now it's just a matter of you saying yes. And you said yes, and so now you're both. It's a yes, yes. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
If I had never said yes to that guy who said, "You want to learn how to fix sewing machines," in my heart it said, "Yeah, I want to do that." I could have hesitated and said, "That's too much trouble," whatever. And none of this would have happened
Right.
for me, but the Lord would have found somebody else.
Yeah.
So he gives us a great gift, a great opportunity, a great love, his love for us. And once we say yes, he says, "Okay, I'm taking care of you."
Yeah.
Like you're taking care of your wife.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I was sitting in membership class for the Frankfurt Church of the Nazarene, and Pastor Gordon had mentioned prevenient grace and what it was, and I was like, that's what I've had over my life all this time. My mom used to joke that my guardian angel wore a hard hat because I put it to the test. I tell you, I tried fighting it my whole life, and and that's where when you surrender, that's where you find the peace and that you always wanted, but you couldn't get, because you were fighting it so long. But I think when it comes back to prevenient grace, if you're watching this or listening to this and you're not a believer, think about the times that something's happened in your life that should have turned out differently, but it didn't. That's God. If you look back, even if you don't believe, you'll see it over your life. And we're not trying to force anybody into anything. This is something that has to be done on your own accord and your will. God's there waiting. He's just waiting. And you were talking about Jesus saying yes to dying on the cross. I had read this morning in it's a A.W. Tozer book, No Greater Love.
Oh, that's great.
And it said, I want to be worthy of Jesus's sacrifice on the cross. And I was like, man, that's powerful.
And I heard something recently. You are worthy because of Christ, not because you've earned worthiness, not because you have. Okay, I've cleaned up my life. Now I'm worthy.
No.
You were worthy.
Yeah.
At the moment that he sacrificed himself, he made all humans worthy of his love.
Yeah.
And so, like you just said, there may be somebody out there that isn't a believer and has fought it and whatever. Just know this, that you are worth Christ dying on the cross.
Right.
Because he said so, not because I say so. Not because you say so, but because his life says so. That you, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, he says, I'm putting my life on the line for you because you are worth saving. It's good.
We think it's stuff we have to do.
Yeah, that was the problem I had growing up in the church. It was, you had to do this, do that.
One, I don't know if I just missed the part. All I caught was, if you don't do this, if you don't do this, or if you do this. But I didn't catch the part, but you're not going to really be able to do all these things or not do all these things. You hear about Jesus saying, I am the vine.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be connected to the vine. And then it hit me, the correlation, the vine and the fruit of the Spirit. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. If you're not connected to
that's exciting.
Everything's going on here. Devil's attacking us, I guess.
He doesn't want people to hear this.
Yeah. Fruit won't grow if it's not connected.
That's right.
And it all goes back to being connected to Jesus. And if you're looking at your life and saying, I don't have any of these fruits, well, are you connected?
What part of the fruit does the fruit have in making itself grow? Just is there.
It's just got to hang on, right? Yeah, so I was just like, wow. And maybe if God revealed these things to me quicker, I'd probably get a big head and think I was really smart. So,
well, you've got time.
But, I just, to me, I used to think it was all crazy, but now it's just,
it's starting to make sense.
I'm learning and I desire to learn, and you got to have that. And I've said with some people who are, not trying, they're showing up on Sunday, but that's about the extent of their relationship. And I'm like, God wrote you a love letter and you got to read it, man. You got to read that love letter. What good would it be if you were, say your job took you away from your home, your wife, and she's writing you all these letters and you're not reading them. And where would your relationship stand if you weren't communicating with your wife and she wasn't communicating with you? I'm like, you just got to be involved, man. It's more than Sunday morning.
Yeah.
The occasional Bible study.
Yeah. You've heard people relate the whole thing to marriage, which it is.
Yeah.
This covenant relationship is like a marriage. It is a marriage. Marriage made in heaven.
Yeah.
But when you think about that earthly relationship, there are a lot of people that are married simply out of legal things,
Right.
Whatever. And they hardly talk to each other at all. They hardly, lots, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you see the couple that really love each other, they're not worried about the rules. They're not worried about, the particular. They just want to love each other.
Right.
And you just see it. I don't know if I think people see it. My wife and I, we just love each other. I just feel so blessed to have her as a spouse,
right.
As a partner. And that's the way we have to. We don't have to, but that's the way it is best to look at this relationship with Jesus. I just love him,
right?
And I want to please him. He brings me joy. I was reading Paul in Philippians, and the guy shouldn't have been alive, but he was alive, and he had great joy.
Yeah.
All Philippians talks about the joy that he had. And at all the things he goes through, shipwrecked and beaten and robbed and, put out for dead and
bit by snakes.
It's just all kinds of stuff. But he still had the joy of the Lord.
Right.
And he was just driven by this love for God. And that's really the essence of it. And I missed that when growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't really see that in the church. I saw lots of stuff that wasn't that.
Yeah. And that, and that can have an effect on people, a negative effect if the pastor's up there preaching love and you don't see it in the congregation. It's hard to understand that. And
I'm so blessed to see it where we are.
Yeah. I mean, I'm biased, but we've got a great church, and I've told people, I'm like, you don't see. I mean, we've got a great group of men, great group of ladies. I mean,
I am so impressed with the way men have responded to the Lord at church.
Yeah, because growing up, I mean, for me, my dad, he had a bad back, so he was actually going to school to be a pastor when I was born.
Oh yeah,
and but and a couple of years later, his back had gone out and had so many surgeries that he was in and out, and there would be times that mom just kept us, taking us while dad was in bed sick. And so for me, it was like mom was the one who was pushing the faith, and she was pretty much the rock because dad was incapacitated. Um, and a big part of that, I mean, this is a whole nother topic, but a big part of that was the medication they put him on. He was, this was before you knew about uh, being addicted to pain medicine. Not that I don't think he mentally was addicted, but his body was physically addicted to that medication they had him on. And that controlled everything, I mean, when the medicine starts leaving your body, you start to feel sick just like a drug addict would. And you got to have more medicine or you're going to be hurting. And then the medicine wears you out, and it's just a vicious cycle. And me knowing that now, I'm like, keep that prescription medicine away from me, unless I do take blood pressure and cholesterol medicine, but pain medicine, no, I don't want it.
Well, let's just talk about something that's just dear to my heart. I love to see you guys at work.
Yeah. We should talk about it.
I do. I love to see. I love recommending you guys to people because you bring joy into people's houses.
Yeah.
You bring a sense of happiness and there's not this anger or any,
Right.
it's so fun to watch you guys all work and I love the way it all comes about.
We that's the one thing that Sam always drove home. We're doing this for the Lord, and if we do that, we'll succeed. And that's how I look at everything. And even when I get frustrated at something, whether it's a vehicle or maybe a relationship that's strained in the business, tomorrow's a new day. I try not to hold on to that stuff, and that's how Sam was with me because I gave him plenty of opportunity to be angry with me for weeks. But
on purpose, probably.
some of it is just being younger and not knowing better.
Yeah.
But so Sam instilled that, and I think the three of us that are full time, that's what we do, and sure we have our moments, but we enjoy cleaning carpet and getting out and seeing people, and we have customers that are not only customers but friends. We look forward to seeing them when we go.
It's the clean.
Yeah, and and that's what makes a difference. And anybody could do this job, but not everybody's going to have the same attitude, the same desire to provide the best results possible, and it's a good part of the work, And
well, I just appreciate you guys
yeah,
so much. I appreciate your attitude, appreciate your spirit,
and
and I know where it comes from.
I will ask people, so how'd you hear about us? Oh, Ed or Mariana told us about you. And I'm like, usually if it's a Carroll County, especially Delphi, Camden area.
We can't help but tell people,
Yeah.
oh, you need your carpets cleaned? There's no question.
Right.
Why would you go anywhere else?
Right. So yeah, we truly appreciate that. I guess just to wrap it up, since we're getting calls and messages,
people want us.
What would be your recommendation for clean living? I mean, we didn't even get into you having an Airbnb in Camden there.
Oh, that was
it
a
could be
blessing from the
personal
Lord.
or spiritual.
It's easy. It's not complicated, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
Because you have to continually be aware of the presence of the Lord. It's not difficult to live right.
Right.
I mean, it's not hard to live right, but it's difficult because we get in our own way.
Yeah.
We get our own desire ahead of others. And when the Lord said, love the Lord your God with your whole heart, soul, mind, and strength, and your neighbors yourself, we forget about the second part because we think it says, love the Lord your God with your whole heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love yourself as much as you can. He didn't say that. And so I think for me, clean living simply means I don't want to hurt the Lord.
Right.
I went through a terrible divorce. And it takes two to tango, I know that, but I was terribly hurt by it.
Right.
And I don't ever want to hurt anyone like that again. And through all of it, the Lord kept saying, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Right.
When you are mean to other people or angry with other people or whatever, you're doing that to me.
Yeah.
And so I have a constant thought is I don't want to hurt someone else.
Right.
I just want to love the Lord and love others. So clean living to me is simply letting the Lord clean us up, let Sam I am clean your carpets,
Right.
And then just do what you can not to intentionally spill anything on the floor.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And, accidents happen,
Right.
The older I get, the more clumsy I get. I spilled coffee this morning on the countertop, not on the carpet, on the countertop. But, when I bring my food into the living room or family room to watch TV, I'm bound to cause some problems. Don't set myself up to make a mess. People do that all the time, don't they? But in your life, I think simply, allow the Lord to clean you up, and then allow the Lord to give you the wherewithal, the wisdom, and the strength to keep the carpet clean.
Right. That was going back to me being a little slower on learning things. It hit me just 2 weeks ago. I was doing my morning studies, and I'm like, what did Jesus save me from? I'm like, what was it? I mean, I know what I'm saved to. I know I'm saved to, be with him someday. But what did he save me from? And it hit me. He saved me from me. Yeah. And I was like,
wow. You've got it.
I'm like, that is insane. I said, my whole life before Jesus, it's proven what it does, what I do when I'm in charge. Yeah. And I didn't want to give up that charge until I finally surrendered. And then you have after Jesus life. And it's still, I'm still growing, I'm still learning, I'm still making mistakes. But I was just like, I was blown away.
I can't
that,
imagine you making a
that
mistake.
the big save was from myself, and that just encompasses everything. I mean, because I was living for myself, I was living for the world,
You were living for yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
That's just what it boils down
it's
to.
crazy to think that
You either live for Jesus or live for yourself.
the big bad thing that Jesus saved me from was myself, and that's something I'll remember forever. That day I finally came to realize what He saved me from.
Remember the date? Put the date down.
I should have.
Yeah.
I should have. And it's just I'm thankful He saved me from me. And it's not everything I thought it would be, like how difficult it would be to be a Christian. There's tough times. We've still experienced heartache and loss, and bad things have happened. But you know what? It's a lot easier with Jesus being in control and by my side, and I don't have to have every answer.
Your original question is about the mission. Tell me about the mission. The Great Commission is when Jesus told his disciples just before he left, "Go ye therefore into the world, go into these different parts of the world and make disciples." And so we kind of get off on this tangent about how do I make disciples?
Right.
When really that scripture, when you parse it out in the Greek and all that, the meaning is as you go, make disciples. And I think people feel like they need to come up with a project. I don't know my purpose. The purpose is simply, all of our purpose is, as we go, be the Christ that people need for us to see. That just be with Christ. And as we go, like you guys are, you don't intentionally, I'm going to say something to this person. It's just the glow of your joy and your attitude and all. As you're going, you're advertising for Jesus, not for Sam I Am.
Right. Yeah, and that's I tell new guys that start with us who are they may have came from the church. I'm like, we're not out preaching, all right? Well, we're out there working, but we deal with mainly apartment complexes, properties, and a lot of those guys are they're rough around the edges, and like I was most of my life in the military, just talk like a sailor, and they live their life the way they do, and I'm like, we're not gonna beat them up for what they do. We're just gonna not talk like that. We're not gonna act like that.
Because that's not the person you are.
Right. And that's how we show them. We're gonna be in a good mood when we go to a place. And it's as simple as just loving people, and we may not love how they live or how they talk or how they act, but we still love them. And
just like Jesus.
Hopefully they start to say, what's why you guys act like that? And then that starts the conversation. Yeah. And and we've seen maintenance guys show up at our church from just working with them. And when they're in need, they just say, "Hey, what do you got?" Or it typically starts out, "I'm thinking about going to church," and we're like, "Hey, we got a perfect place for you, we'll save you a seat." And just being open, and we're not ashamed, but we're not also preaching. We got two jobs to do. One, just be a light, and two, clean carpet, and do the best we can.
You don't have to advertise a candle in the dark. Don't need to advertise.
No,
it's just a witness for itself.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here and tell my story, a little bit of it.
So basically, if you have sewing machines that you need to get rid of, you can reach out to the Church of the Nazarene. I'll put a link to the Sewing Love Ministries on the episode page.
Yeah.
You can reach out to us if you're in Lafayette and you have a sewing machine you want to get rid of, or Frankfurt or Rossville, give us a call. We'll pick it up and we'll make sure Ed and
also
Kester
service sewing machines for people in the community, because I know how.
Right.
Might as well.
Might as well help if they're wanting to keep it and they need it fixed. Then get a hold of Ed, and all that. You can reach us, and we'll make sure you get in touch with him. And or financially, if you feel the need or feel led to support the mission, you can always mail that into the Frankfurt First Church of the Nazarene, attention Sewing Love Ministries.
Yeah, correct.
And that would help them as well. And as we say, we've said it before on other missionary type podcasts, is prayers for the people that are involved, prayers for the ones who are receiving the machines, prayers for the churches that are helping these people learn the skill. So prayer is always appreciated.
Appreciate you giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate your time, Ed, and getting up and being here early in the morning. But it's great. I just like talking to people. I don't like being on camera or any of that. I hate the editing because I have to hear my voice over and over and over, which sounds weird to me, but I truly enjoy just sitting down talking to people.
I recognize your voice when I hear it.
Yeah. So I thank you, and
thank you.
We'll keep people updated and look forward to
appreciate that. Thanks so much.
Helping you get the rest of these out. So,
all right. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Clean Living with Sam. I am carpet cleaning. If today's episode helped you out, please like, comment, share, and follow the show so you don't miss the next one. Have a cleaning question you want us to tackle: carpet, upholstery, pet odors, tile, or anything in between. Drop your question in the comments or send it our way, and we may feature it in an upcoming episode. Need a hand from a pro here in North Central Indiana? Now visit SammyAmCarpetCleaning.com or find us on Facebook. Until next time, keep it clean and take care.